Nelvin, your journey is remarkable. You've built a respected career as an oncologist in South Africa, spending your days helping patients fight cancer, which is just really in itself extraordinary. And then alongside that, you've pursued your passion for music and the same dedication. Now stepping into the spotlight with your new single coming out this Friday called Melody. I'm so excited to talk to you about your work in medicine and your success in music. I like first off, are you from South Africa or did you move out there? Like, what's your origin story?
Hi, Colt. Yeah, no, I'm from South Africa, born and raised, proudly South African. Uh, yeah, 30-year-old male, and I'm happy to be here with you today.
This is so wonderful. This is so cool. So, there's just not a lot of people that we hear that are like a doctor and they are doing well in their music career. Like you're doing really well. You got some great representation. You got some good music videos. You got a nice pop sound. I was listening to Break a Broken Heart and like
Yeah,
it's catchy. It's really catchy.
thanks.
It's really good. And that's just rare. Like how did that come to be? Did you like when you were young, did you want to be a doctor? Did you want to be a musician? Like what was the story there?
And Colt, so I think music came before medicine, if that makes sense. We all grew up with Disney Channel and with that the dream of making some pop music that is really heard on the radio. And I think that has always been the dream. But living in a world, you need to be realistic about things. And fortunately, my grades, they weren't bad. And so I had options of what I wanted to do after school. And having a bit of ADHD and being an extrovert, I didn't want to go sit just behind a desk somewhere. I wanted something that's fulfilling, something that's challenging every day. Actually, the thought of becoming a pediatrician, working with children in a medical environment was the thing that got me into medicine. But then I found that working with cancer and oncology, that's where my true passion lies because I really have a heart for people and helping people when they're at their lowest. And so even though I do love medicine and love what I do, I think music came first. So I'm very happy that I'm able to fit in both.
That's wonderful. I always talk about how I have a distinct memory of going to a Britney Spears concert when I was 8 years old. And like, I know that sounds like a cruel joke to plan an 8-year-old boy, but like, there was just something I was so mesmerized how like one person could bring in 40,000 people. Do you have a distinct memory of like when you knew you like music? Was it a song that came on the radio? Like, when did you know that like you wanted to pursue music?
I I think it was watching the band 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah.
And I just loved them. I loved what they were about. And I thought that I want to go one day, I want to be like Jared Leto, just this very cool punk rock musician with an insane vocal range, just making cool music that people can relate to. And every day I'm still striving to do that.
That's wonderful. When you wanted to like at that point, did you know you already had a voice? Like, did you know you could sing at that point? Because like I wanted to go into entertainment before I could even know like could I act, could I sing? Like I just had that desire before I even knew if I had the talent or the skill set to do it. Did you know you could sing at that point? Like you knew you
No,
had.
I didn't. I didn't. I hoped that one day I would be able to. And I started working on it from a young age. And I think it's only in my 11th school year, just before I finished, that just bit the bullet and I auditioned for our high school musical, our high school play. And I thought I was going to be a tree or something. And then I got the main role. And then I realized, okay, maybe there is something here. So I started doing some vocal training, and everywhere I went, I was always very suspicious of people's intentions and people who tell you, "Wow, you really have a good voice." And I think, yeah, sure, you're just trying to hype me up, so I keep coming to your vocal sessions. But yeah, I'm just very glad with I started off as a baritone, and I just wanted to push myself. And I remember when I was studying anesthesiology, the art of putting people to sleep for surgeries, and I started studying the airway, that something really clicked. And I started just experimenting with my airway, and it just opened up two, three new registers that I'm very happy to use comfortably today.
So you really learned about the physical anatomy of the body for, anesthesiology, and you actually learned more about music, like breathing and like from that.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's wild. I would never even think like those two would go hand in hand, but it makes so much sense. That's crazy, man. That's so cool. So how do you, what does your schedule look like? I mean, when I think of a doctor, I think they're in the office 8 to 5. And then if I think of a musician, I'm like, I mean, to write the song, to produce the song, I mean, that doesn't even conclude, anything on top of that of PR and headshots and doing interviews and all of these things. Like, what does your schedule look like to make this all happen?
So fortunately, my working in oncology, there are very few emergencies, which means that I've got quite stable working hours. I go in, I work mainly, see planned patients from 8 until 5, and I usually home by 5 o'clock, and I'm working every second or every third weekend. Unfortunately, medicine happens during workday hours, especially if you don't have emergencies, and music happens after hours. So I've got a fantastic team of music creators that's willing to make music with me after hours. So often I would finish a workday and then drive through to the studio and just record a song or two and or finish up some tracks. Often over weekends, I do some content shoots and photo shoots. Shame, I'm very grateful to have a team that I can trust on to help me after hours, and that's the way you fit it in. There's enough time for me for medicine during workday, enough time for music and performances after hours, because very few performances happen during working hours. Let's face it, and there's enough time for sleep as well.
I love that. Got to get your sleep in there. Well, do you feel, and I'm not saying I'm leaning one way or the other. I'm generally curious here. Do you feel that doing two professions hinders you from getting to a certain level? Like, do you feel like you being a doctor is going to hinder your music career profession because there's 8 hour days that are now being taken away from you being able to invest in the music world? What are your thoughts on that? How do you like, what is your philosophy on that? Like, how do you feel about that?
The main thing is administrative. I've said for the past year and a half now, I need a music specific PA to just run submissions and plan bookings and um, plan all kinds of shoots and everything. Because I've had some people that manage me every now and then, but I think that someone would rather just do bookings. No one really does my administrative duties. And having the slight sense of ADHD as well, administration is not my strong suit. I'm more of a creative than an administrator. And I think not having those 8 hours in a day really makes my music career a bit slower than it can be. But that said, I have written songs and recorded them and had them on the radio within a week's time. But usually, I take maybe 3 to 4 work days just to do something that I could have completed in one day.
Yeah, there's just such a I find what you do so fascinating because there's just such a pro and con to anyone trying to, you know, strive for that, childhood dream, right? Like there's so many people I know that have strived to be an actor and they move to LA, they're living on their friend's couch. They end up not being able to, make it. I know some that were from overseas and they couldn't get, work visas and so they had to go back home and like that was it. Like that was their shot. And like they're trying to save up money again. But you have this, different lifestyle where you are making some solid income from being an oncologist. So you don't have to worry about that part. You can support yourself, you can live, you can have a house, but it is going to take away some of that time for you to like go all in on.
Definitely.
So it's just such an interesting
It
um
is. A couple
crossroad.
of my friends that only do music, they since their bread on the table depends on the success of their music. It really they're really more honed in. And I think that do a lot they are a lot more what's the word? Determined to finish these administrative tasks on time because that's where their bread comes from.
Yeah.
Um, and on the one side, that might catalyze growth in the music world for them. But on the other side, it's very difficult to pay for productions, to pay for music videos, to pay for marketing if you
Yeah.
don't have that solid income. So there is a give and take there. And even though I take a bit longer, I really do pride myself in working with what I consider to be the best producers and the best videographers and and the best marketing team. And honestly, I think that does make a difference in the end, and it does overcome my 3 to 4 day
Yeah.
work day delay.
Well, I think there's a lot of people who are listening to this or watching this, and they all, I think so many people can relate to having that some sort of goal or dream that they had, and a lot of people are maybe deciding if they should chase it, or maybe they wish they would have chased it. What was the discerning process for you with that? Like, what did you are you like a spiritual person? Are you like, how did you discern, I'm going to do both of these? I want a steady income, I want to be a doctor, and I want to keep my musician, instead of saying I'm just going to be just a full-on doctor, not doing any music, or I'm going to just do music, no doctor life. Like, what was that discerning process?
I've always loved music, but I knew that it's a tough world out there, and I think going into medicine was the safe option. And
Which I think most people like going to the safe option. Most people want
definitely,
they want the steady income. They want the safer option.
but I
Yes.
think being in medicine, you come to terms with the fact that our lives on this planet is temporary. I'm a very spiritual person, and I believe in life after death. I believe I'm a Christian, and I believe that this life is just temporary. And I don't say it in a somber way, but it did make me realize is that um, no one else is going to be you. The only one that can be you is you. And if you have dreams, the only one that can make them a reality is you. And I think coming to terms with your terminality, especially when in oncology, it makes you realize that there's no time to sit back and let other people live their dreams while you just dream about yours. I think that really is an inspiration that's made me say, screw this, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I remember it was in my third year of medicine that I decided, making my Facebook page, I'm committing to being a musician. And and yeah, it was in about my third year of medicine that I then released my first local song in our native language,
Oh,
Afrikaans.
that's so cool. That's so cool. Congrats on that. I just I think you have some sort of virtue in that discerning process that I just really appreciate. In there's no one that can going to be the you except you, and I find that wonderful. What do you think is the major reason people don't uh be that person that they really want to be? Like, what do you think is preventing them? You've dove into it, and I think that's really attractive. What do you think prevents people?
I think the one thing is we don't think about the fact that we're only here for a certain amount of years, and that you only have a couple of golden years before you might be too old to do certain things. I don't think you're ever too old to chase your dreams, but realistically, something like the music career, younger people do better. And even though I think people just often think they have more time, they don't think about the fact that that time's running out. And I think you always think, oh, next year I'm going to do this thing, and next year I'm going to do that. Um, I think that's one big thing. And the second thing is we live in a world where we are quite observant of other people's opinions of ourselves. And there might be a you might be a very confident person, but not confident enough to publicly try something out there. And that takes a leap of faith and a leap of self confidence and courage,
Was that
which
hard for you to do when you were like, I'm going to launch my name and my brand and my music and my songs? Was that hard for you?
it was very hard. Because there are so many people trying to make music, and there are so many people um, trying different things, and just saying, I'm going to try as well. knowing that you might fail. I think that's a big one because by saying I'm going to try, you're committing to doing this, and if you do fail, then everyone around you will know that this guy failed, but he actually tried, and that's quite embarrassing.
Yeah.
Um, but the word "so what" really changed my life. I thought so people might think strange things about me, but so what? I would rather be 80 and have a life full of memories, a life full of taking chances, and be 80 and regret things not done.
That's so cool, man. I love that. I think just I love that philosophy. I like I love that. Like it's just 100%. I think more people should have that. I think more people should not be afraid of, getting and the reality is you do get some. Like when you launch out, there's so many people when I started a show that, they didn't understand what I was doing and that, they critique you and you do, and you just have to roll it off. It's also interesting. It's the people that are closest to us that seems to be the hardest opinions. I don't, like everyone else's opinions. It's like, whatevs, but like, it's the people that I respect that when they're like, oh, Cole, that's what you're doing. Like, it's,
Now, that's a big thing, but the Bible also talks about that, about how are you cool about speaking about the Bible quickly?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Apparently, Jesus was not honored in his hometown as being a prophet because, or just doing any miracles because the people knew him too well, and they thought that then they didn't have faith because they knew him too well. This guy that we've known for this many years, he can't be that person that everyone's talking about. And I think when you try to do something extraordinary, the people closest to you who know you at your worst and know you as just being a normal person um, can often be your biggest critics. Um, but and on the other end, some other people that they care for you and they just want to spare you the embarrassment. They think they're doing it for the right reasons. They want to protect you. But in actual fact, they might be stunting your dreams. But so it's not always malice or malicious, but it's definitely the closest people are the ones that you need to overcome, especially because their opinions matter more to you as well.
I love the reference to that, like with like Jesus in the Bible. Like that's so true, so real. And again, that's why I think there's just such virtue in what you're doing. Like I love that. It's wonderful. And I wish more people would do that. What is your, like truly, like what is your biggest, what's keeping you up at night right now in your life, in your career? I mean, like you just seem to have it all, right? You're like, you've done some really great music video, you have some really catchy songs, you're releasing a new song uh 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 on the 29th of August, and you're shredded. You're absolutely like just built, and like
Hey.
you get a great, you're doing real meaningful work. What keeps you up at night?
The concept of unmet potential
Unmet
is,
potential.
yeah, I feel like that just thinking that you might not reach your ultimate potential is really a motivating factor. Um, where
It's scary.
yeah, so I think that's something that really keeps me going and really keeps me in a sprint, in a sustainable sprint, because I don't want to once again sit back and think of what could have been,
Yeah.
if I worked a bit harder or if I was a little bit more focused.
Is there something specific in that like right now it's like I my unmet potential is blank. That you
Um,
have the unmet potential, but you're driving your staying up at night.
I think the one thing is I really like the music that I'm making. Otherwise, I wouldn't make it, and it would be very sad if not enough people got to hear it. And so, especially with the release coming up, uh, I'm really concerned every now and then that my marketing drive is not as strong as it should be, and things might fall. A release might not live up to its full potential that it could be, and just because I slacked a bit on marketing or on pushing it a bit.
That's tough. That's a really tough boat. It's so, when we first started the show first year, we were doing some great, we had like George Lopez coming on, and the winner of The Voice, and we had this interview with one of the Breaking Bad stars, the guy who played Walter White Jr. And I just thought it was so great. And I'm like, what's the point of doing these great shows if no one's watching them? Like if no one's going to see them, like what's the point? And so it's just such a real, true, and it's so there's so much noise today. It's such a
Mhm.
different industry across on any industry. It's so hard to get, a show out or a music out or, anything out because just there's so much noise. And so that's truly that's a tough one. Like that's
Yeah, and I can imagine that you relate to that as well.
Yeah.
But hey, you've got thousands of subscribers. You're doing very well.
Well, I
Um,
I really appreciate that. I know we're running out of time here, but I wanted to see here what in 5 years, where do you think you'll be and where do you hope you'll be? If those are different.
yeah, okay. Where I hope I'll be, um,
Yeah, do that one first.
is so where I hope I'll be is really just an internationally established artist known for vocal capability and cool tunes. I think that's
But
where I
what
hope to be.
but there has to be something specific. Like is there like there has to be like a moment of that. Like you winning like a Grammy or you being like on the soundtrack of an Avenger film. Like is there something specific? Like what makes it international, like what would that look like in your head? When would you know a measurable goal that you know?
Oh, I understand what you're saying, and and quite funnily, those are my two goal endpoints. I really hope that my next song that is coming up will be on the soundtrack or the credit song of a really cool movie. That's a major, but that's not a 5 year thing. That's a this year thing. I hope,
Love it.
and definitely Grammys. A Grammy was just something that I know will make me proud. It'll make South Africa proud, and it's just an establishing moment. Um, I think when I say internationally recognized artist for vocal capability and his cool tunes, I do mean with an award-winning artist. Where I think I'll be is if I just appoint myself a personal assistant, I think it's very possible that I might reach those goals.
I love that. I don't know if you've ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I don't know if you are he's like known to be the habit guy, and he is just I love him. He's one of the most recommended books, and he just talks about the 1% increase is all that you need to do. It's just building habits, 1%, 1%, and eventually you look back and it just compounds and you're there, you have achieved. And so I think anyone listening to this, including you and myself, is whenever we're in that moment, just 1% is all we were required to do today. Just 1%.
I,
And
I, I had to give a motivational speech the other day, and I decided to speak about meeting potentials and how a goal is very much achievable for anyone as long as you put enough time to it. That whole story, child story that we know about the tortoise and the hare, the rabbit and the turtle running the race.
correct.
That's the thing about not giving up, and for sure the rabbit went sleeping a bit. But the main thing is there was a race, there was a set goal, and regardless of the talent or the initial potential, both of those animals completed the race. And the turtle just needed to take a bit, just took a bit longer to do so. And I really had to have the strong opinion that as long as you build 1% at a time, if you're gonna walk if you want to walk to Cape Town, and if you start in let's say somewhere in South Africa, then you've got a shorter time to walk. But if you start from Egypt, as long as you just keep walking, it's gonna get there. And I remember my closing line was, "Since no one can stop time, no one can stop you." And I think that's really something that I related to. Is regardless of where you start, as long as you just keep putting in the steps, since no one can stop time, no one can stop you.
That's beautiful, man. I really appreciate that. Last question, then we'll let us go. What is the song Melody about? What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, I grew up with punk rock. I wanted to make a punk rock song that people these days can relate to. I made it about a song about a girl called Melody that I knew in my university years, my college years, and
Her
it's
name
just
was
the
actually
breakups.
Melody. Her name was actually
Her,
Melody.
her name was Melody, but she dated my friend. She didn't date me. So to sort of, I'm writing it um, out of his perspective after she broke up with him. But it's just a nice, it's a nice punk pop breakup song, and with a good energy. And I really just like think everyone's gonna like it and listen to it.
Dude, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. This was such a joy. Congrats. Nelvin's new song, August 29th. Check it out. And we'll see you soon. All right, man?
Thanks, Colt. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers.